Hello and welcome to another episode of Climb, the Confident Leader podcast, where we share the stories of leaders moving from being invisible to becoming an influencer. And today we have an amazing guest coming from the academia industry. We will share how he has done things for his team, his clients, as well as his students. I'm your host, Rahul Karan Sharma, where we will be taking step by step of becoming a confident leader. So today our guest coming in is a seasoned professional in the sales and sales management space. He has earned his place as a leader, as a professor at the University of Houston, teaching sales and marketing. His history as an author places him in a position of authority in the area of sales, sales management, leadership, customer service. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together for one and only Curt Tueffert. Welcome to our show, Curt. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon or good morning, Raul, whichever one it is. I'm doing great. Looking forward to having this conversation with you for all of your listeners. It should be a great time.
Absolutely. So, Curt, I know you had some great experience as a professor as well as a consultant. And early back in your career, you were into sales management. Tell us about your leadership journey back then and what has been transpired till today.
That's a great question, Raul. The leadership journey from a sales perspective started early on in college, knowing that I really wanted to do many, many different things. Ultimately, I really wanted to be the next Tony Robbins. But I needed to earn my way through that. So I began to sell. I sold in the computer industry. And from the computer industry, I moved into a sales management role, moved my family from Portland, Oregon to Houston, Texas, and
Mhm.
then learned very quickly that there's a big difference between being a very productive independent sales professional and being a sales vice president manager where you're managing these highly independent, highly productive salespeople. And so the
Absolutely.
journey was fraught with making most of the mistakes someone makes as they are moving in that journey. I didn't have a mentor, so
Mhm.
the mistakes I made were just classic mistakes, but I learned from them, found
Mhm.
my mentors, and surrounded myself with mentors in the leadership development and sales management roles so I could become the better sales manager.
Awesome. So, learning from our own mistakes is what Kurt has done and developed himself in becoming a leader he is today. Uh, so, Kurt, when you started your sales journey, as most of the sales professionals, when they start their sales journey, they're very excited of being a sales professional. They hear from their seniors or maybe from their professors that sales is this, sales is that, and very seldomly I see most of them they quit very early on, maybe in 3 to 6 months. So when you started your sales journey, tell us, was there a moment where you felt that self-doubt moment, or you felt some invisible in the scheme of the professionals that you were working? What kind of mindset shift you had to do for yourself to move from a novice salesperson to become a successful individual that you are today?
Great question. For me, it was all about in sales, we talk about qualifying your prospect. Early
Mhm.
on in my sales career, I absolutely loved my company. I loved the products and service that I sold. I loved all the people around me. We had a phenomenal culture of winning.
Mhm.
I got jealous very quickly because they, meaning the other salespeople,
Mhm.
were getting all the success I wasn't getting. And
Mhm.
one of the reasons and the root causes was I was talking to the wrong person. They had no intention of needing, wanting, or desiring my product. And so for
Mhm.
those sales professionals who jump out of the gate, they're all excited for the first 3 to 6 months. They lose that excitement because they realize they're talking to the wrong people
Mhm.
willing to make a decision to even have a conversation with you. So that was my big learning is how do I qualify the right people at the right time and not make it a personal thing where it says, look, they don't like me. It's not
Mhm.
me they don't like. They just
Mhm.
don't have a need for my product or service.
Wow, wow, a very good point you are making. Avoid taking things personally because it's nothing for you. It's about the service, the product that you are offering. So, great point. Another learning for me was qualifying your prospects is the key to become a successful sales professional so that you are talking to the right people. Now, Kurt, most of the sales folks who are high producer, when they move up, they are excited to move into that leadership role. And so, from your experience, before they move to that leadership role, when they are individual contributor, there are some who are having great success. There are some who lack that confidence in them. What would be your advice for those individuals who are facing rejections or having some challenging clients? What would be your tips for them?
That's a great question. Reflecting on where most salespeople are, the ones who are struggling, it might be because they don't surround themselves with a group of brothers or a band of brothers, a band of sisters, people that they can be held accountable to and for. Usually, what happens is salespeople tend to go on that lonely journey where it's all
Mm,
by themselves and nobody understands them. And so, what happens in your headspace is you start making agreements that you don't know anything, you're a weak person, and you start losing that confidence. By bringing yourself into other people who want to see you win, you can minimize those valleys that we fall into, quickly understand, diagnose, and get out of those, get back into the whole profession of selling.
hmm. So instead of having a lone journey, you surround yourself with people who can guide you where are the pitfalls and what you should not do. It's a great point. And the next step for most of the salespeople, Kurt, is that they eventually lead into a sales manager role. And sometimes it is by design, sometimes it is the need of an hour, and they just get to know that they are being promoted. So, in your journey or when you're talking with your clients, what are some of the key challenges our sales professional face when they are moving to a leadership role and how they can prepare for this transition?
Yes. I think there's a difference between being a sales leader
Uh-huh.
and a sales manager. The common denominator is, does the sales manager have a heart of a teacher? Many times we take these wonderful people who are promotable because they hit their quotas early. They're amazing sales pros. And we move
Mhm.
them into a management role where they're no longer selling, they're basically managing other people. And
Mhm.
quickly we determined that was the wrong fit. Sometimes the best people who are in a management role aren't your very best sellers. They're the
Mhm.
ones who can bring teams together. They're the ones that can remove obstacles. They're the ones that can help with the administrivia that comes through management. And we
Sure.
just get very, very nervous. Uh-oh, what am I going to do with Johnny? We got to promote Johnny or Johnny's going to leave. Well,
Mhm.
what if you just surrounded Johnny with everything he ever wanted in his sales culture? He can
Mhm.
continue to be that producer and we promote Susie. It's a
Mhm.
very difficult thing. And yes, we're looking at Fortune 100 companies where there's a structure and there's training and there's an incredible org chart. Then we're also looking at small, medium business where you're managing four sales guys. And the guy that's managing the four sales guys is one of them. It
Mhm.
gets a little bit loose, and we've got to be able to differentiate between the two.
Absolutely. And in my experience, I have seen people look for that hierarchical growth as their progression, as the next step, without realizing whether it is the right step for them or not. So, if there is a salesperson who is listening to our conversation, who is a high producer, and in that dilemma of whether they should move to the next level or not, or remain as a individual contributor, what are one or two things you suggest they should look inside themselves, which will tell them that yes, move to the next level or stay as a producer?
But it kind of goes in a progression, needs, wants, and whys. I
Hmm.
might ask that person, why do you need to be in sales management?
Hmm.
And then I might say, well, what is it that you want
Hmm.
as a sales manager and why is that important? I ultimately want to get to the why, right?
Mm,
That is the thing that really is the root of the whole conversation.
mm,
It out from why do you need to be a sales manager? What is it that you want to accomplish as a sales manager? And then why is that important? Many times people want to be sales managers because they want to see their team grow. They've
mm,
done it, they can replicate it in the field. Now they want to replicate it in other people. That's a
mm,
great reason to be a sales manager. But
mm,
if it's the power that you want and you want to
mm,
wield that power against other people, that might not be the right reason to be a
mm.
sales manager.
Wow, wow, very, very great point. So don't look on the power of being a leader, look for the heart of a teacher. Do you have that heart of a teacher so that you can replicate what you have done for the organization? That's what will tell you whether you should move up or stay where you are. A great point. Now, from a skill set perspective, Kurt, I know as a sales leader and a sales professional, there are different skill sets required. So, what are the skill set that truly differentiate a successful sales leader versus a top performing sales professional?
You bet. I think, I talked about as an amateur salesperson, I wasn't very good at qualifying. I
Mm-hmm.
think what sets the best apart is their ability to conduct a discovery meeting, whether it's called a discovery meeting or a probing meeting. It's our opportunity to ask the hard questions of our prospect or our customer to determine what is it that you need, what is it that you want, and why is that important. The pro understands the customer's needs and wants. The amateur is looking for survival. They're looking for their ego. They're looking for their income. But the professional really understands a need and a want and helps that customer get there. In fact, a professional might say, this isn't a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a good fit. Let me recommend going somewhere else because they're smart enough to know it's not a good fit. And I'm not going to put you into a product or a service that would make you feel upset and it would then misrepresent my company.
Absolutely. So, another aspect I have seen, Kurt, is people get jealous, as you were mentioning that you were jealous when you started your career with your with counterparts. Here also, I see is they get jealous because other person get promoted, you are in the same line, and you don't get a promotion. I think what Kurt just mentioned that ask those questions, the needs, the wants, and why, and then determine for yourself whether moving up is the right move for you or you can stay where you are. And so from a sales leader perspective, it's very challenging to manage those high performing sales professional. You have been one, but now you are in a leadership position. So someone who is a sales leader, Kurt, how would you suggest them they navigate that discussion that hey, you're a good sales professional, stay where you are instead of moving up in the value chain. What could be that conversation looks like for a sales manager to a successful sales professional?
Well, I would start with kind of why is it that you want to move into that sales manager? Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years as it relates to this? If they are saying to me that they're very self-aware and they realize, I know how to sell this product, I know how to sell this service, I know how to connect with other people. I want to have other people, I want to teach and train other people to do it the way I did it. Well,
Mm,
I might just start with having that person be a mentor and having a
mm,
quick class, a master class on that, allowing that person to get a little bit of the role and responsibility of sales to see how that works. Now, they may come back to me and go, I don't want to do this. I am so sick and tired of handling all their drama.
mhm,
See, I prevented you from getting that drama by giving you that chance to be that master class person. So sometimes I can do that one. Again, if it's part of a large culture, large company culture where you've got to be promoted, then we've got to spend a lot of time teaching sales leadership or teaching sales management.
mm,
It's one of the things I do is I teach sales training. I do that a
mm,
lot. I do that every day. What we
mm.
don't do is we don't teach the sales managers how to manage the
Manage.
salespeople. It's a completely different game. And I think because of the ratio, well, Kurt, there's 25 sales pros and there's two managers.
Mhm.
Yes, but it's the two managers who can guide and direct the 25 sales pros.
Wow. Wow. Yes, absolutely. So I think more focus has to be on that sales management training as well versus just only putting all your eggs in one basket by training your sales professionals. So great point. Now, since you are coming from academia, I've seen a lot of frameworks, models. I wanted to highlight our client framework, Kurt, that we created based on the leadership journey of many professionals. So, in my experience, a typical leader move from a stage of being an invisible to a potential, then to achiever, and then becoming an influencer. Based on your experience with working with so many sales professionals, so many organizations, how do you see these stages fit in? Does that resonates with your work?
You know, when you're just thinking about the two sides of that one, Raul, from invisible to influencer. And then
Hmm.
there are two pieces in between that one before you can get to that part where you can be that achiever. You know, I believe there's a lot of truth to saying, there's a baseline of sales where you are invisible
Hmm.
and people don't see you, people don't need you, people don't want you. And then you see some of the professionals and how much they influence the buying decisions of their customers and prospects. And yes, it is a progression until that influencer then gets a new product, a new service, a new company. They go back to invisible and they
Hmm.
have to climb that ladder again and
Yes.
again and again. And it happens all the time in many facets of our life, our business life, our professional life, our personal life. And so, yes, be aware of that one. And then be aware of what's it going to take to move from invisible
Right.
to all the way to an achiever, to an influencer.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, I think what you are bringing up is it's not just one time you become an influencer and you are an influencer for life. No, you can be invisible the moment you move an organization or the moment you move a team from the team that you are managing to a new team. Thank you for bringing that up. Now, Kurt, let us know our audience the work that you do today, how it is impacting the bottom line of an organization, and if our listeners wants to work with you, how they can work with you.
You bet. Right now, the whole area of sales is still relational. I
Mm.
have to say it so many times because everyone's afraid that artificial intelligence, AI, is going to come and take our jobs away from us. It will take portions of our job away from us because the order entry, order inquiry, and the repetitive tasks can all be automated. But at
Mm.
the end of the day, people still buy from people. Now, the challenge is our buyers and our prospects, they have access to more information. So they're making buying decisions much later in the sales cycle. And then when they call us, they just want to validate that they made the right decision. So
Mm.
my job is to teach sales training in a way that builds the relationship,
Mm.
asks the qualifying questions so that that customer or prospect doesn't feel they've made the wrong choice. And then
Mm.
once that's done, we build the relationship for repeat business over and over again. So that is all revenue generation. If you're not investing in your sales team to get better at what they're doing, then you're not increasing your revenue. You're actually going backwards.
Wow. Wow. So I think the process about building that relationship and towards the end, when they're ready to make a decision, they come to you because of the relationship you have built, that likability factor that comes into play. And so, in your experience, the kind of clients or the corporations that you work, is it specific to a product-based companies or solution-based or service-based? Who are the clients who would benefit more from your services?
A great question. I've been doing this for over 30 years. And so when I do my discovery portion of talking to a prospect who might want to get sales training, the first thing they're going to say is, "You don't understand. We do it differently than everybody else." And
Mhm.
I ask a lot of questions regarding the type of product they're selling or the service that they're selling. And I'm saying, that's probably true in your mind that you do it different than everybody else. let me give you a framework. It's almost like a buffet, and you
Mm-hmm.
can pick what you like in the buffet, and you can skip the things you don't like in the buffet. And my job is to create a custom experience that touches on your needs, wants, and whys, your
Mm-hmm.
corporate philosophy, the uniqueness of your product or service. It uses assessments. I use a tremendous amount of the DISC assessment to help give behavior to help that person understand themselves and others because it is relational, that you sell a very technical product differently to a technical person than an economic buyer. And
Mm-hmm.
then I use a lot of follow up with coaching that allows all of the content to be repeated over and over again. A lot of times people come to a sales training, it's one and done, and then they leave and they forget about it. And I try to offer some automated or Zoom-based coaching that helps that sales pro grapple with what they've learned. And then when it comes to the real world where it didn't work, let's talk about it. Let's figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. And that's where the investment skyrockets.
Correct. So when a client hires you, Kurt, is it more the corporate clients who wants you to work with the entire sales team, or you also have, as you mentioned about the buffet services, the a la carte services where an individual can also come and take your help? So what is the best way to reach to you? Is it corporate wide or individuals?
I've had success in both of those, Raul. I've
Mm-hmm.
worked all the way through the large accounting firms, large industrial firms, and I've done small groups where their sales force is three people.
Mm-hmm.
And the sales president or sales vice president says, we can't afford all that sales training. It's not that expensive if you bring it down into small group learning and then Zoom-based coaching. It's better than what you're currently doing, which is nothing. So if you continue to do nothing, how do you expect your sales team to evolve? It
Mm-hmm.
probably won't. They probably will devolve as it relates to this pace of the industry. And so consider sales training as an investment to your team. And then I know the sales objection is if I invest in Sally or Lisa, they're going to leave me. Well, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't invest in Sally or Lisa, they're going to stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you settle for C minus behavior or B plus behavior when you can determine quickly that they have the potential of closing four more deals this quarter? That four deal close rate or the increase of that one will easily pay for the investment you have in sales training.
Absolutely. I think a very good point that invest in people so that they can grow rather than thinking that they may quit and your investment will go away. So, great point. Now, before we move on to our the rapid fire round, the fun round, Kurt, let us know how our listeners can connect with you or reach out to you.
Well, I've got a website, Peak Sales Strategy. It's all one long word, which will hopefully be in your notes.
Yes.
Peak Sales Strategy. My email address is ctueffert@gmail.com. I'm very much into paying it forward. Let's talk. Let's bounce ideas off of each other. We're all in the sales game together. If you're a manager, if you're someone on this call who can make a decision on investing in your sales team, bounce some ideas off of me. If you're a sales
Mhm.
pro who says, hey, I'd like to tune up my game a little bit, let's get together and let's do some stuff over Zoom that would allow you to increase your efficiency, which at the end of the day will hopefully increase your W-2.
Absolutely. So, team, we will include the contact information of Kurt on our show notes, or feel free to reach out to him. He's very, very open to have a conversation. Connect with him on LinkedIn as well. And if you are in Houston, University of Houston, he teaches there. So, grab a cup of coffee with him whenever in Houston so that you can learn how he can support your team. So, thank you, Kurt.
You bet.
Now we will be moving on to our fun round, rapid fire round, Kurt, where I will be giving you 5 questions. And without thinking too much, I would recommend you give us a response. Okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. The first one is a quotation that you live by.
A quotation that I live by is do the right thing next and the next thing right.
Wow. Do the right thing next and the next thing right. What a powerful quotation. Thank you. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Definitely a morning person.
What is one leadership skill you wish someone had taught you earlier?
Continuous learning. Always be learning.
Always be learning. Very good. What is one daily ritual that you never skip, no matter how hectic is your schedule?
Making a list of things that I need to get done because I tend to drift away on other things. So if I make a list of the top two or three things I need to get done, it's on a piece of scratch paper, back of a business card, but I know where it is and I can lead myself to it.
Wow, wow. Making a list of things, go get to do things. So, wow, that's very powerful to be accountable. Last question. If your career were a Netflix series, what would be the title of season one be?
Season one's title would be From the Sales Floor to the Sales Boardroom.
Wow. Sales floor to sales boardroom. I'm sure it's gonna be a massive hit. Never seen this kind of a title on Netflix. I'm sure it will be very, very successful. So thank you, Kurt, for sharing this insights. For me, there has been many learnings from this entire episode, but I will share the top three learnings, and I would want you listeners to share your learning in the episode in the comments. For me, the first one is as a sales professional, qualify your prospects. That is the number one thing for you to become a successful sales professional. It's not about you; it's all about the services, the product that you're offering. Number two is surround yourself with people who can mentor you, who can guide you, successful people, so that you learn from their mistakes. You can bounce ideas to them. And before you actually implement, you have some kind of a direction where to go and how to go. The differentiation between sales manager and a sales professional is being a heart of a leader. You should be able to teach people what you do and how you do, rather than going for a sales leadership just for power. Power is not something that will be with you forever. Focus on being a heart of the leader. And to end, I would say is, because this has come multiple times in our conversation, is all about the needs, wants, and why. Why you want to become a leader, why you want to become a sales professional to start with. So focus on your needs, wants, and why, and you would be in a great shape. Your final words of wisdom for sales professional who are listening to our episode. What would be your advice to them if they are thinking to move up in the value chain?
It goes from this be, do, have. In
Mhm.
order for you to be a sales producer or a highly producing sales pro, you've got to do the things that highly producing sales professionals do in order for you to have the freedom that sales professionals have. So in order for you to be that, you've got to do the right work so you can have what you want.
Wow, we do have. What an amazing pointer you have shared. So, thank you again, Kurt. We are very excited, and we are very excited for our learners and listeners who will be seeing a mammoth of change in their approach. And, team, please reach out to Kurt if you are looking to improve your sales team performance, if you're improving to increase your bottom line. He's the go-to man. Thank you
Thank you,
again for
Earl.
listening to us. Thank you,
Thank
Kurt,
you.
for having me. Take care.